Xtalks connects professionals in the life science, medical device, and food industries with useful content like webinars, job openings, articles, and virtual meetings to help you succeed in your career. This life science focused podcast brings together some of our editorial staff to share insights into the latest B2B industry news to keep you up to date.
Hello and welcome to the Xtalks Life Science Podcast. I'm Ayesha Rashid, Senior Life Science Journalist at Xtalks.com, and this week I'm delighted to introduce a very special guest to the show. We have with us today Pierre Simon, who is the VP Global Head of Marketing at Sight Sciences, an eye care technology company focused on developing and commercializing innovative solutions intended to transform care and improve patient lives. Among some of Sight Sciences' devices and technologies include treatments for glaucoma and ocular surface disease. Pierre is also a lifestyle influencer and two-time best-selling author. His latest book is entitled Down Through Love, which is a story about a young man's journey being born with Down syndrome. So to learn more about Pierre's work at Sight Sciences and his other endeavors as an author and speaker, let's turn to Pierre right now. Pierre, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Ayesha, for having me. Super excited to be here to share any information that I can with your audience. Really glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Likewise, really looking forward to the conversation. So, Pierre, I'd like to start off first by wanting to learn a bit more about Sight Sciences, including when and why it was founded and what its core missions and goals are.
Yes, so Sight Sciences commercialized about 5 years ago, but the beautiful thing is it actually began years before then, and it started with Paul and David Badawi, two brothers, one tinkerer, as I like to call him, or an inventor, and one ophthalmologist. And they came together to identify current needs at that time within the ophthalmic community, but also what might the future needs be. And they came together to create an amazing company. And what Sight Sciences focuses on is continuing to bring transformational technologies to market, which will do just that, transform the treatment of patients within eye care, and looking both in the current as well as what are the future needs of the ophthalmic and the optometric community to ensure that we are consistently looking at where the market is and where might the market be going. So that's who Sight Sciences is.
Wonderful. And can you share your personal journey to becoming Global VP of Marketing at Sight Sciences and why you decided to join the company?
Yes. So I've been with Sight Sciences coming up on a year now. My first 15 years within the ophthalmology community, I worked with one of the largest eye care surgical device companies, and I pretty much worked in every division, from glaucoma to academia to pharmaceutical and even surgical sales. I spent some time in division management and training, different countries. And what I love about ophthalmology is it's truly an opportunity to deliver the power of sight to the world. If you think about some of the greatest moments you've ever had in your life, whether that be walking down the aisle for your wedding or graduating or seeing your child born or seeing your child graduate, and then you think about not being able to see that moment, it kind of loses its savor just a little bit. And that's why I've always loved ophthalmology and spent the first 15 years of my career with a very large ophthalmic company. But then what I wanted to do was really transition from being a sole contributor within the market, within the community, to really beginning to work with a company that has current and future state focus in very specialized specialties. So I can have more influence and direction into a company as to here is where the community, the ophthalmic community is right now, but also here is where we can take it. And my goals and my desires were just directly aligned with the CEO, Paul Badawi, and his goals and ambition for the company. And so that's how I got to Sight Sciences about a year ago.
And which eye diseases is Sight Sciences currently focusing on? And could
Right.
you give us an overview of some of the innovative solutions being developed at the company right now in the eye care technology space?
Yes, so Sight Sciences focuses on right now ocular surface disease as well as glaucoma. Glaucoma is one of the most interesting disease states in ophthalmology because to date, there is no cure for glaucoma. Glaucoma is so important because several people suffer from glaucoma, but it's a silent assassin. There aren't that many signs and symptoms. There's no pain associated with it for someone to say, I need to go to the doctor. And so oftentimes when it comes to glaucoma, the damage to the optic nerve is done well before the patient realizes that there's a problem. But due to the innovative technologies that Sight Sciences consistently puts forward, as well as industry as a whole, we are working to fight back against glaucoma. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. To that end, Sight Sciences has the absolute amazing OMNI Surgical System, which really focuses on, we know in glaucoma, the number one thing that we can affect is intraocular pressure. And the OMNI Surgical System literally takes out the guesswork when a surgeon is using a MIGS device, taking care of all 3 points of known resistance in the conventional outflow pathway. Our goal with the OMNI Surgical System is to remove the guesswork for the surgeon, cover all 3 known points of resistance, getting that patient to the doctor's desired target IOP. Additionally, Sight Sciences is in ocular surface disease with our device, with our TearCare device. When you think about dry eye disease, so in the US alone, you have over 16 million patients diagnosed with dry eye disease. Of those 16 million, 86% of those patients suffer from MGD, meibomian gland dysfunction. The reason why that's important is those are the exact patients that the TearCare device actually works for. Now, when you think about dry eye versus the potential of going blind with glaucoma, one might say, well, the two are not on the same level, going blind and having an irritating disease. But when you meet patients that have dry eye and see how their quality of life is decreased, how they can't drive at certain times, their eyes are always feeling itchy and scratchy, these patients are truly suffering.
So, as the Vice President, Global Head of Marketing, how do you foster a culture of innovation and patient centricity within your team and the broader organization as well to bring treatments that are personalized and patient centric?
Yeah, so you have to keep the end customer in mind. And the amazing thing about what we do in the ophthalmic industry is we have really two customers. We have the patient, and that is the ultimate end customer. But we also have the surgeon or the OD, the MD or the OD, who's also the customer. And what we cannot do as Sight Sciences or as industry is just make devices and create technologies without including those two customers. And so something that we consistently do as we look to further Sight Sciences portfolio is we bring in our MDs, we bring in our ODs, and we say, here is where the ophthalmic community is today with the treatment of glaucoma, with the treatment of ocular surface disease. Here is where we're looking to take it. Here are the devices we're looking at, working on, evolving, transforming. Give us your feedback and help us understand, will this meet your patient's need? Whether that be a complete evolution of product or even a revolution of product. Identifying, if you look back just 10 years ago, the MIGS market wasn't nearly as dense in the glaucoma world as it is now. If you look at the ocular surface world, you didn't really have a ton of ocular surface equipment or technologies. It was heavily focused on prescription RX, utilizing over-the-counter drops, where you see the ophthalmic and the optometric community has evolved. Patients want to come off drops. We understand the burden, and we only understand the burden that patients face by bringing in their ODs, by bringing in their MDs, and helping them partner with us in order to create not only technologies, but the right technologies that will advance eye care as a whole.
And in addition, could you also share insights into how your specific leadership style and approach contribute to Sight Sciences' success and market positioning? So, especially obviously as the global head of marketing, how does your approach to eye care technology in this space perhaps set you apart from others in the field?
Yeah, so marketing is an extremely fun function because when you think of marketing, most people actually think about advertising, which is a part of marketing, but it is not the only piece of marketing. So what I try to do is I start off by breaking down the marketing in upstream and downstream. When it comes to downstream, what we focus on are what is the messaging, what are the tools, the resources, projects, initiatives, and programs which will highlight the efficacy, the safety, as well as the procedural nature of our products. My job as a marketer is to ensure that the sales force, that the MDs and the ODs, that all of the downstream customers, that they have what they need to understand the product, to understand the portfolio, to understand how to use a product in the portfolio, but more importantly, how to convey that messaging to the patient. Patient X, the reason why we're bringing you in for a procedure with the OMNI Surgical System is because it's going to control your IOP, your intraocular pressure. What that means for you is we may potentially decrease the medications that you're on, increasing your quality of life. So that's the downstream side of marketing. And that downstream includes asset generation, advertising, PR, working with all pillars like Marcoms, to ensure that, again, all those stakeholders have what they need from a downstream point of view. And then you have the entire other side of marketing, which is your upstream. When you look at upstream, it really focuses on how do I ensure proper share of voice for the company, proper share of voice for the brand, but more importantly, proper share of voice for the current brand, as well as the belief in the company and its future brand. And so a lot of what we do from an upstream point of view is partnering with societies, partnering with our key opinion leaders, bringing them in on the front end of the creation of campaigns. If we're transforming how we look both internally and externally, we bring in our partners so we ensure when they're on the podium at our Tier 1 meetings, like the American Academy of Ophthalmology or American Glaucoma Society, that they have the right message to proliferate the message of Sight Sciences from an upstream point of view. So marketing is fun because no day is the same. Every day is extremely fun and different, but it is twofold, both upstream and downstream. And depending on where we are in the market or where we are in the portfolio, that will determine where our focus is primarily, whether upstream or downstream.
Thank you so much for those insights. And so, from your perspective, what are the current trends in the eye care technology sector, and how is Sight Sciences positioned to lead or respond to these trends?
Yes, so I would say the biggest trend in the eye care community is patients are entering their doctor's office with tons more information. They're talking to their neighbors that had surgery. They're talking to their church members that had a prescription for dry eye disease. They're on the internet Googling. Now, granted, they come into the office with every kind of diagnosis known to man, but ultimately, they're coming into the office with more information. If you look back 10, 20 years when patients would enter the office, they would come in and just listen to the direction of the doctor. Well, with that information being at their fingertips, they're coming in and saying, hey, I heard that there's a device that you can use for the treatment of my glaucoma, which could potentially take me off of medication. Well, now, if that doctor has not kept up with the trends within ophthalmology and they're not MIGS certified or they're not fully knowledgeable, they're technically at a disadvantage. So that's one of the trends that's happening right now in the eye care community. Another trend, if you look at, like I said earlier, go back just 10, even 10, 5 to 10 years ago, the MIGS market specific to glaucoma was very minuscule. You may have had one, maybe two devices. But what surgeons have found is that we can provide minimally invasive or microinvasive glaucoma surgeries which are highly effective, extremely safe, have the potential to take my patients off medications, and I don't have to do extremely intrusive or invasive surgery. I can I can forego that for even longer now because of these technologies and innovations. And so now, almost every year, you're having a new entrant into the market. To your question of how is Sight Sciences optimizing within these new trends, well, we know that patients are looking for information, so we're marketing directly to patients. We're providing them with the information that they need, as well as our other downstream customers, the MDs and the ODs, as well as the staff. But we're also ensuring that as each new entrant comes into the market, we know from a marketing point of view, with new entrants, the market has the potential to become commoditized. So it is ever important for Sight Sciences to be the leader of proven clinical data. And that is something that we hang our hat on, whether that is our TearCare device going against the #1 prescribed dry eye drop right now in the market and winning on all fronts, or whether that is OMNI providing data on standalone, providing data on combo cataract, providing data on, regardless of your patient profile, across multiple studies, thousands of patients. The OMNI Surgical System is consistent at lowering pressure to around 15 to 16 millimeters per mercury, below that 18, as well as delivering the potential to decrease medication. If we hang our hat on proven clinical evidence, regardless of the entrance into the market, we stand out as the MIGS device and the dry eye device to beat.
And I'd also like to ask you more about some of your other work as as an author, a 2-time best-selling author at that, as well as a lifestyle influencer and speaker. So I'd love to hear more about your work in that area.
Yes, happy to do so, Ayesha. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about my work in the corporate world is because I'm passionate about my work in the creative world. I don't think many authors wake up and say, today, I think I want to be an author. There's usually a catalyst. And for me, I've always loved traveling the world, learning from people and learning cultures and their experiences. And I begin to write down some of these learnings that I had from people around the world and put this story together and this story together. And before you knew it, I had my very first book, The Flight of the Phoenix, Living Forward. And really, that book just focuses on if we transition from the time and energy and focus from the things that we can't control, which I refer to as the what if, and move that to the things we can control, which is the what is, not only will we learn from the past, but we will live amazingly in the present and ultimately forge a better future. All the work that I do, from the TEDx talk I did, speaking around to universities and high schools, it all comes around one thing. And that's giving back to people, letting people know that regardless of their situation, we can all learn from each other. We can all do better, become better. And it's always fueled my passion. I've always had a passion for people and ensuring that everyone can learn, everyone can do better. And that just fueled my speaking engagements, writing my first book, putting out my second book, Down Through Love, The 21st Journey. Different genre, but I've just always enjoyed people, and it fuels both sides of me, both the corporate and the creative side. So that's how I do 50-50, corporate and creative.
That's very, very cool. And I really love how you said, it doesn't have to just be one thing. So if you're interested in the on the corporate side of things, but you can also harbor interests on the creative side of things. And I think what I'm gleaning from this conversation is that the themes are common between the two, where you're very passionate, I can tell for sure, in terms of learning about people's stories and then attempting to do something in order to really help their plight and to improve their lives. So
absolutely,
I really love that. And finally, so what do you see as the biggest challenges facing the eye care technology industry today, and how is Sight Sciences working to overcome them?
There's several challenges, one of which is just human habit. Most people brush their teeth the same way every single day. I start on the bottom left in case you wanted to know that. Humans by nature, we have heuristics, we have habit that we just get into the habit of doing the same thing over and over. And it is one of the largest challenges that we face. As effective and as safe as the mixed category has been now for a decade, if you will, we still face apathy. We still face habit and getting surgeons in the eye care community to understand the true benefit of change. And one of the ways to overcome that, I've spoken about one earlier, that's showing the evidence, that's showing the proof. But that's all. Another way is also showing them the how behind it. So it's one thing to say, hey, adopt this technology, adopt this mix category. But it's a whole other thing to say, yeah, we want you to adopt it, but here is the how and here is the why. The why is the benefit that is going to provide the patient consistently and over time. The how is how to identify the right patient, how to transition from what you were doing to what you'll be doing now. And it's the same on the ocular surface side. Like I said, even though the largest compound annual growth rate exists right now through 2028 within the dry eye device side, if you look at OTC drops, over-the-counter drops and RX, they're about 5 to 6 times right now the amount of weight versus dry eye disease devices. And what that says is, even though the data shows that these dry eye disease devices are equally or even more effective, we still are facing habit. And even though patients want to come off drops, humans are creatures of habit. And we just have to continue to chip away, providing the why, the what, as well as the how to transition.
Wonderful. It's a great way to end off. And really looking forward to seeing what Sight Sciences has in store wishing you all the best in the wonderful work that you're doing.
I truly appreciate it. And thank you for having me today. I enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Pierre, for being on the show today. I greatly appreciate your time and for the insightful discussion and wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
That's the end of this episode of the Xtalks Life Science Podcast. If you liked today's show, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone, and see you all next week. Bye for now.
If you enjoyed our discussions today, please share the episode with your friends and colleagues, and be sure to subscribe in order to be notified when a new episode is released. To join in on the discussion, you can find Xtalks on social media, email podcast@xtalks.com, or comment on the articles directly. Links are in the show description. Take a moment to join our community at xtalks.com to get access to everything we have to offer, including webinars, job listings, virtual meetings, articles, and more. The views and opinions expressed in the podcast are those of the speakers sharing them. They should not be taken as professional advice and do not necessarily reflect the policy or position Honeycomb Worldwide. For further information, email us at podcast@xtalks.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.